Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, friends. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about menopause, perimenopause, hormone changes, all the fun things. So, this is probably more for the women, although men could probably listen to it and know what they're in for with their wives or girlfriends, too.
Hey, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. No, I agree. That's funny. I actually no, I think it would be really good for men to understand it a little
I,
bit more.
for sure, for sure. Okay, so did you want to start?
Okay, yeah, I have a lot to say about it, of course, a lot. It's affected me a lot in my entire life. One thing I do want to say really quickly though is to think about obviously menopause is about your hormones, okay? And as women, we go through we go through puberty. Um, that one, of course, that's very difficult because at a young age, you're really changing. And it's not just all of a sudden you have a monthly
Right.
visitor, right? That's not all it is. There's so much more to it. And of course, you don't really understand it. And typically, people do in your life know that that's happening to you, right?
Yes.
And so that's one thing. I will say, not being trying to be a big baby, but I lost my mom right around there, um, so I really didn't have that, and I wasn't understanding a lot of things, right? Because you're just different and stuff. It's not just that you have boobs all of a sudden, you just, all these
Right.
things, right? And then and as women, then you go through childbirth. There again, you have a lot of hormonal issues, major.
Yes.
And if that's not enough, they decided, okay, let's go ahead and throw menopause on it.
Right.
And for me, who doesn't want their period to go away? I think, well, who wouldn't want that to go away? And for me, I had a really bad situation. So yeah, it really needed to go away. And I will say that the one thing my doctor had said to me was, I wish that we could leave something in because, anything would produce at least some hormones, but it's all bad and it all has to go. And I'm like, which I love him for his bedside manner, that he was very straight up, he didn't, he was actually a great guy. I love that he delivered my grandson because he wasn't somebody that was going to plan the birth around tea time, right? You go into labor when you go into labor. If things aren't working out, we take away medicine. I like that kind. But he's a little harsh, a little bit. And so I said, so what does that mean? And he's like, oh, it's going to suck really bad. And I go, well, now I'm scared. And he's like, well, too bad. You're going to have to do it. So buck up. So that was my first sign, but really but getting rid of all the problems that I had due to that, I was looking forward to very much so.
Right.
And one funny little thing I will say, because I had become addicted to ice, and it was embarrassed. Like, I didn't try to tell everybody, but I was consumed with it. Like, it was kind of weird that when we would travel or any, just different things, if anything that was going to happen, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to do that, without looking like a weirdo. And everybody would say, all these things about the ice. And I'm like, well, don't worry about it. It's just ice. It's not crack.
Right. Well, it was your crack, but yes.
Yeah. Right. Right. Um, and my daughter kept saying, I think you're that anemic that because that's a sign. And I was like, well, whatever the reason is, it's, I'm not spending the mortgage. So just relax. I'm not, down
Right.
in Cracktown and stuff. It's just ice. So don't worry about it. And because I really didn't want to talk about it either, because I knew it was weird.
Right.
I mean, if you saw one time my son had to take me to work and he was like, wow, like he couldn't believe it. I had, and he needed my car because so I was like, I'm not going to have a car. I won't be able to go get any. And plus I did this every day. Anyway, I had this huge, like it was a little cooler, but a big, like a lunchbox. And I would fill up all these cups and put lids on them of ice. And he was like, that, wow, mom, I didn't know you did that, And I'm like, well, don't worry about it. There was no food in there. And so,
Oh my God.
and before he dropped me off, I'm like, stop at QT so I could get like a really big one of ice. And, if we went to a drive through, I was like, I just want a cup of ice. And they're like, okay. And I would get it and it was water. And I'm like, I don't want water. Well, well, we can't just give you, and I will charge me $10. Okay. I want a cup of ice and I don't want you to put anything in it. Like, this is stupid. But anyway, that did turn out to be it, obviously. As soon as I had my hysterectomy, like 2 days later, I was like, oh my God, I don't even want ice. That's weird. I hadn't even thought about it. Weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I was super anemic. I was
But yeah.
freezing all the time. And yeah. So that is, I think that's common too, because obviously you have issues there whenever you
And
need to get done.
so you were forced into menopause. My mother was also forced into menopause by having a full hysterectomy. And I was young. I was in preschool, I think, or kindergarten when she had hers too. So I know it's different for you guys.
Then it's
Where
natural.
yeah, because like right now I'm in perimenopause.
Right.
So I'm pretty much having hot flashes, the night sweats, things like that. My more periods than normal. Just closer together. Still the same amount of days, but closer together. But for you, yours is going to be different than if somebody is naturally slowly going into menopause. So maybe you can share some of that.
Right. And that's exactly it. I had not started any natural part of menopause.
Right.
And I was 42. And so nothing had happened. There had, other than just the issues. But and then it's like one day, all of it happens. And for me, I had always heard people talk about hot flashes. And I thought, well, whatever, right? I mean, that can't be that bad. I'm sure it's annoying. And it is. It is very annoying. Like I said, I used to tell people, someone take my temperature. I swear it's 2000 degrees.
Yes.
Because you just get, and you know what I would do? Like when we would be up at the cabin and super cold or whatever, I would have all these clothes on. And all of a sudden I was like, I can't get it all off fast enough, right?
That's me.
And then you're freezing again, right? Then you're
Yes.
freezing. Yep. Yeah, it happens. And so, but I kind of thought that was the worst of it. And I actually had never heard of night sweats. That's pretty big. That's a big thing. But I think for me, the two worst things that I had no idea would happen, weight gain, that is crazy, just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started making the whole family come and look. I got a new scale that was like it. We programmed all these things into it, like because I'm like this can't be happening, and I need someone else to see for real, like you're watching what I'm doing, and I would gain 11 pounds in a day. And
And that's unheard of. You know
it
that. I mean,
was,
that is insane.
I did not know what to do. I really didn't. Like, I was just flipping out. And then, so I didn't know that you would gain a lot of weight. I never thought about it. No one said anything. And then the mental part, you, you really think things that aren't happening. You actually do. And I remember I started thinking back, years ago, it was kind of common for women to go and get locked up. Do you remember hearing this?
Yes. Yes. They had a lot of back then, like the state hospital mental
Yes.
facilities. Yes.
And I remember that happening, and I started really thinking about it. And I'm like, we also know that they said hysterectomy was one of those things that was a very commonly surgery happening that wasn't necessary, because doctors could easily, who's going to argue with it? Especially, a long time ago, women would just keep having babies until their
Yeah.
body wouldn't let them, right?
Right.
And so, you're all busy with all these kids, all this stuff. And so when a doctor says they want to do that, you're like, heck yeah, right? No one's going to complain about that. And then I think that's what happened. And that's something I decided, because you do become very, very mental. I'm very fortunate that whenever I went through this, I had a very supportive husband. I have a great family that handled it very well, because I didn't know what to do. If I had been in a bad way, I don't know where that would have put me,
And
Um,
sadly, not all women will have a good support system. And I think that's why, as women, we need to make sure that we're there for our friends and
we
our sisters and our, family going through it,
right.
because not everybody will have that. I have a very supportive husband too, but not everybody has that. So you're right.
No,
You're
and one thing I will say,
blessed.
because a lot of people do have hormone therapy, though. A lot of people take estrogen. You get that. And I didn't, that was not an option for me with the condition I had. And that was a large part. I had like 5 reasons that I needed a hysterectomy. One of them was I estrogen is bad for me. So taking estrogen was not an option. That does a lot of people are able to do that. And so that has
Mhm.
helped. So I had it cold turkey overnight, hadn't started any, and I couldn't take any therapy. So, and mentally, you have to I finally talked myself into, after trying a lot of crazy, dumb things, just because it does take you a while to understand that you're not right.
Right. Right.
Because I would decide I was going to, I can remember thinking, okay, that is so it. I have had it, I'm just making me a list of, and one night I was like, oh, those things aren't happening. What's wrong? Like, and that was my first sign. I remember thinking, oh my God, something is wrong with my head. Like, I'm not right. And it really freaked me out. But I think eventually that was the best thing that happened for me, to finally understand that I wasn't right. And I was being very, very hateful, very
Mhm.
ugly to people. I was saying things to my children that I would never say, ever.
Right.
That was, I mean, people I love the most. I was being very ugly. Even, don't come over. I don't want to see you. That is, look at me. I'm always trying to have people over.
Right. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That is not me. And I literally was being super ugly. And one thing I say is, you know what? I'm like, okay, as hateful as I've been, I'm thinking much worse. Believe me, I'm not even being as ugly as I want to be. And that's not a good feeling.
No.
It's not. And I think once I figured that out and I could say, okay, now you have to manage it.
Right.
And because I did have hot flashes, I did have night sweats, I had all that stuff. And to me, I was like, I don't care about the hot flashes. It's my craziness, it's my weight gain, it's all those things. And you just change as a person. I was telling you this the other day that certain things that I used to drink for however many years, 20 some years, I drank a pot of black coffee every day. Had to have it. And I never wanted creamer. I wanted nothing in it. If I ever had a sweet coffee, that was like getting a dessert. It wasn't
Right.
what I would drink for coffee, you know? Now I have half a cup and it's all heavy cream, uh, chocolate, hot chocolate. It's
Now you have a
it,
candy drawer. I've seen it. It's awesome.
yes, right, right. And I never did that before. I
Right.
would not, I didn't want, nobody was allowed to eat garlic around me. It made me like sick. Now I use garlic again. It's like, it's just weird. Everything changes. I was telling you, I was a person who could not wear a dress. No dress would look, and everybody agreed. When I would go to try them on, the kids were like, no, you're right. It doesn't, why? Like they were surprised, but I couldn't. I always had to get a skirt. Now I can wear dresses. Like it seems like everything changes. You know, smells, I was very sensitive to smells. And now I worry that like someone's might have to tell me if something smells in here because I am not going to smell it. And that's weird.
Yeah,
Before
no,
I
it
was
is.
a total freak about smells.
I wanted to go back to the like hormone replacements, or because you were saying you couldn't take it. For me, I probably could take it if I chose to take it, but with my mom's history of
Mhm,
her ovarian cancer, we have a better chance of getting ovarian or breast cancer. For
mhm,
me, that's a no-go. My mom knew when taking it, but because she was forced into menopause like you, it was so much worse for her that she chose to get on something. And one of the side effects that, could be is getting cancer.
mhm.
And my mom's thing was, cancer doesn't run in my family. I'm going to take the chance. And then she ended up with ovarian cancer, with no ovaries. She ended up with ovarian cancer. So,
Another
um,
thing, I'm so glad that is another thing and that's the thing. We have the gene with,
right.
um, the breast, colon, and ovarian. It's all the same
It
kind.
is.
That's all the same
Yeah.
cancer. And so that's why I couldn't have it. And I even had said to my doctor, since we have this and I'm already getting a hysterectomy, shouldn't I just get a mastectomy? And he said, listen, you can get breast cancer without breast. You got to be very
Absolutely.
careful. People don't understand that. Yes, you can. I think men can get breast cancer.
Right. Right.
It's not, if there's no way they can get it. There's going to be one single cell. There's going to be something in there that you can get it. They cannot just, because I've heard of celebrities and stuff having all these surgeries thinking they won't get it. And it's almost worse because then you think, well, I don't need mammograms. I don't need this and that.
Yes. Yes. Because you don't
Right.
have, so you're not going to get cancer. Yeah. You're
Yep.
right. And you actually can get it. And my mom did get it.
See,
So,
and that's really scary.
yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. And so, yeah, no, not taking, and it is very, I could understand. My doctor just wouldn't give it to me, but I could see what you go through. It would be very easy to say, well, I would rather take that chance because this is horrible. What's happening is horrible, right? I could totally see that. So I actually did do that away from my doctor not at a doctor. I went to a spa where
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a pellet. So every 4, I think every 4 months, I would get a pellet. And they said it'll take a year. They called it a cocktail of different hormones. And it, I don't know, I felt a little bit different here and there. I think I was really trying to see something different. And then almost at a year, I was like, wow, it's kind of time. And I almost feel like I'm worse than I was when I
Okay.
started. And so they would slice my bottom and shove this thing in there and then sew it up, right? Um, so they always said, don't go in the hot tub right away or pool or anything like because it could fall out. Well, I had that in my head. Of course, I didn't get in the hot tub right away, but um, so I remember thinking, you know what, that must have fallen out because like I feel worse than ever.
Mm.
Um, so I went in and I said, I'm almost feeling like something's really bad. Like I think that maybe that did fall out or something. It didn't work. Um, so they did test and they said, "Oh no." I go, "What?" And they said, "No, somehow you got more testosterone than
Oh,
like 100 times more than you should have." And they said, "You could legally probably get by with murder right now for the amount of testosterone." And I'm like, "Why do I have
wow.
any test? Like I didn't know what you guys were putting together." Um, and they were like, "Well, it's the way your body absorbs." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm done. I'd rather just know that I'm not right and work on that than because I was super angry. I was more angry than I'd ever been. And so to me, this is why I say I'm glad they didn't give me any after that. It wasn't a whole year I did that. That was bad. Messing with your hormones any more than what nature has done or what, like medically having to,
Right.
I think is so bad because I don't know if until you go through it or something, I don't know if you can understand, it's not like you're irritated. It's not like something, you're a little more moody or something. You literally are messing with your thoughts totally. And it's very dangerous. I think I should not have done that.
And
I should never have done that.
is it like that feeling like where you're just so overwhelmed and you just want to crawl out of your own skin? Like you can't even breathe right because you are just so, I
Well,
don't
and
even know how to
people are doing things that are intolerable to you, but they're not doing them.
right. Okay.
They're not. Like I was ready to punch my husband because I'm like, he just gets all the air. Like, and I'm just like, oh, like I remember laying there thinking, I just wanted to like just kick him. Like, how come you can have all the air and I'm just gonna just, you know, like there was some conspiracy against me. And it wasn't
Right.
happening. It wasn't happening.
But you know what? I'm happy that you are saying this because a lot of women not only go through menopause the natural way, but have to get forced into early menopause all at once and are going to go through the things that you went through that aren't talked about all the time. We talked about this before. Um, you hear about the mood swings, the weight gain, the little things. You don't hear about a lot of the other things. And I remember one time you talked about this. And so when I started going through perimenopause, I told my husband and my kids, like, listen, if at some point I start getting moody, I'm just going to be in the bedroom. I don't want to take it out on you guys, because people don't talk about that part of it. You really don't hear about that part of it. Um, So I'm really happy that you're sharing all of this. And, I can just say, as women, we just need to be there for the women in our lives. And if you see somebody going through something, maybe just talk to them, maybe they just, and if they don't want to talk about it, then, but maybe just try and be there. If you see somebody that you're close to and all of a sudden, they're off,
Well,
you know,
there's something else I wanted to mention real quick because
okay.
actually this is something I never talk. This is a part of it I never talk about to anyone because it's very private. So I just never have. And I won't get too I won't go into too much detail. It could be way TMI, right? But I think maybe some people do need to hear it. And that's the whole point of this is to try to let people know.
Yeah.
A lot of things that you read will describe, dryness, right?
Okay.
Okay. Um, and and it says vaginal dryness, right? Okay. But something very different does happen to you in that sense. And it's kind of sad because again, I never would have thought this, but, and I don't think this is just me because the doctor made a joke about it when I talked to him. So it was I think it's pretty common. Your certain desires just really are gone. They're just gone. And you don't understand really why. I
Hmm.
didn't understand why at first. Um, and it's not that you can't, and it's not that you won't, and it's not that you won't enjoy it also. You do. But it's really not your idea.
Okay.
Really not gonna, you're not the one trying to say, you know what I mean? Um,
Baby.
yeah, and so young, like I just never, you just don't know that. And so that's another thing I think we have to be careful about because like we talked about in the marriage and divorce thing, right? Where you have to sometimes say, okay, I know I'm busy, a lot of times when the kids are little, you know,
Right.
and you don't just take time for them. It's kind of that way now too, where you have to say, you still need to try to have a healthy marriage. You need to, because, honestly, I'd go be quite okay the rest of my life if that never happened again. And
Wow.
I'm just telling, that is just something that happens. And I'm not trying to act like, you still, again, you still can, but it is very different. And that is another thing I think what I've noticed with people, if men lose their spouse, they almost always will remarry. They don't like to be alone. They don't.
No.
And a lot of women will stay alone. And I think that's part of it because you're like, yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, I think
You're hurting my heart right now. That's something I don't want to look forward to.
that's why I'm saying that's something that people should know though.
No,
But
you're
don't be
right. You're right.
surprised if, you're just really okay if that doesn't happen again. Yeah, that's not something you want. And
No.
again, and that's something people should know that that's just my experience. And I, like I said, my doctor did end up making a joke about it. So to me, it seemed like something that was, yeah, that's what he said to me. Cause after a while I went in there and I was like, oh my God, wow. Like, and he's like, what's the matter? You don't know why you don't want sex because you're too hot or too fat. Which one? And I was like, what? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. All of that, all of it. So wasn't obviously it's not just me.
No, I've actually heard other women say the same thing because, I mean, we know I don't have that issue, and I've heard people tell me a million times, just wait till you go into menopause. Just wait. Just wait. So that's why you hurt my heart a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think I was ever like you so much, but I definitely wasn't like I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't say that, but I definitely wasn't this.
Right, right.
So again, it's so many things that you just watch your head. And like I said, when we talked about with the marriage one, honestly, just try to tell yourself it's you that's not right. Don't be, because you do for a minute want to be like, get away from me. Don't touch me. I'm like, I'm hot, I'm fat, I'm irritated. Just really, I'm not doing that. Like you just, that's what you think. But you got to tell yourself, you know what, they didn't do any, they're not any different. You are. And you just
Right.
have to, you know, talk to yourself about it.
And it's not your fault, and all women are going to go through it at some point. I mean, some worse than others, obviously, but we're all going to go through it. And just be there for your friends. If you see something off or if they need somebody, be that person.
Yeah. And for sure, just talk to somebody and talk to yourself and just try to work through it because you can. I really did. I talked myself into being a different, because I was very, very hateful and,
Right.
and you don't know that you are, you're just, you are, but you're justified. To you, you're justified.
Right.
You find all kinds of reasons. Of course, I have every right to be mad. So I am F off.
And nowadays it's different too. I don't think natural homeopathic stuff was big back like when my mom,
Right.
but nowadays, I mean, there's so much that you can do to kind of not get rid of the symptoms, but help them naturally.
Right. Right.
So
And some of that stuff.
yeah, so I
You're
was
very
just
big
going
on
to
that.
share some of the things that I, found that could help. Um, Obviously, before you take anything, because I'm not a doctor, you always want to consult your doctor before, because if you're on medications, even though it is natural, supplements and stuff, it can interact with medication. So you always want to talk to your doctor first. I just want to make sure that's out there. But one of the things is, consuming soy products, flax seeds, sesame seeds, all of these contain plant compounds that mimic estrogen, so they can help increase your calcium and vitamin D. These nutrients support bone health, which can be affected during menopause. That is another
That's
thing.
another thing. And yes, yes, keep a lot of that stuff in mind. A lot of your teeth, a lot
Yes.
of, yeah, I've had a lot of trouble, a lot of problems with my teeth, and I've yet today to ever have a cavity.
And you know what too, for a lot of people too, your hair falling out.
Yeah.
I know that some of my friends have complained about that who never had any issues. Now I have Hashimoto's hypothyroid, so I already have that issue. So for me, I probably won't notice, if that is caused by that. But a lot of my friends who have thick, beautiful hair during menopause have complained about waking up with hair just on their pillows, their nails being thin, skin
Yep.
differences. So I think a lot of like the natural supplements can help with that. I mean, it won't take it away, but it can help with
Right.
that.
No, because you know what? This is extensions, not gonna lie, okay? Because I can't have hair.
And but you did have beautiful hair.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. A lot.
Um,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
so we just need some extras to help us out. That's all.
Yeah, and
um,
even though it's harder to sleep, it's really good to try your best to get good sleep. That's with everything, though. We all know this. We need sleep, and it is harder to sleep. You wake up a lot more.
yeah, I wake up sweating all night.
Right.
I do get the night sweats and they're horrible. I mean, I'll have to get up and change my clothes because they're wet because I'm sweating so bad. I'll put a towel underneath me so that I don't have to change, get my husband up in the middle of the night and change my sheets because I really do get the night sweats. Not every night, but
Right.
I do. That is for me, I think that is the worst part. So far. I'm just in the beginning stages. So um, red clover, it also regulates your hormone levels. So that's another good natural supplement to look into.
Really, I've
And
never heard of that.
and I do want to say this too, when you are looking up your, natural supplements, obviously you can always get them on Amazon and but always look at the ingredients and make sure they don't have a bunch of extra not so good for you. Do your research and really get,
And look up
the
all the effects, all the side effects, everything that's going to
and
happen.
what ingredients are in them because some
Yeah.
companies, cheap isn't always good. Some
No.
companies just throw it in there. You're going to want something that actually really works. So for this, I think it's very important. Also, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but chasteberry, it can help improve your mood swings. So that and your hot flashes, but your mood swings. That's like one of the few things that actually help with mood swings, which is good. I mean,
And what is it called?
chasteberry, Chaste berry.
Huh.
Yeah. And then obviously your doctors will probably tell you, but the normal exercise regularly, even if it's just walking for 10 minutes a day,
Right.
that can help reduce your hot flashes.
You know what? You can even dance. Just dance for 10 minutes a day.
Right, dance in the kitchen. Me and my kids
Yes.
still do, and my kids are adults, but we love to do that. Well, you and I both love to dance, so
Yep.
but it can help your sleep. It can help your mood swings. It can help your hot flashes. It really can. Exercise is key.
Yep.
Yoga, meditation, that's another good one. I actually do know some women who don't like to work out, but yoga has really helped them in their later years, in their older years. So that's another one. And I mean, you can find yoga videos. I mean, you can do it at home, YouTube, so that can help. Acupuncture, obviously, if you're into that. But yeah, I just found some natural remedies that help. They say to reduce your caffeine, any substances, extra substances, can also affect your hot flashes and your sleep. So, yeah. So that's what I found, natural remedies, because there will be a lot of women who can't take hormone therapy or who don't want to, because of the side effects, who now there's so many natural remedies that we can, take that help.
Right. Right. And we can eat better. And we can learn more about it. We have a lot more access to information.
Right.
And some of the older remedies are awesome. Like nobody could fix anything like my granny could. But without that, we can do research. We can look into things, and we can try stuff and see what works for us.
Right.
Because everybody's going to be different, and some people, like you were saying about the supplements, watch out. I started just because I get hair up my ass with stuff a lot. I watch something. Oh yeah, me and the mister need this one, right? And so I just put us on a supplement. Okay, here, take it every day. Well, it made me sicker than shit.
Right.
But not him. It didn't affect him that way. So some things might, just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean you just got to try it. Some things don't agree with one person, but they do with someone else, or
Exactly.
you never know.
And
But
always,
look and see what
always check your ingredients.
any
That's
kind of likelihood of what it might do, because for me, if it's likely to do it, it's going to.
unfortunately, yeah, you're right. Okay, well, are you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think that this was probably the longest one we've had, and I think maybe our most important, possibly. I don't know. I don't know. I've had some pretty important subjects,
Yeah,
but
I did want to say, if you have something that you want us to talk about on our podcast, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can always email us at that's what she said x02@gmail.com. And don't forget to love our video. And we'll see you
right.
on the next one.
Yes, like and share and tell everybody about it. And we will see you on the next one. Until then,
See you later.
bye.